In the state of Washington, parental consent for gender surgeries could become a thing of the past. The state is considering a bill to waive the requirement for teens that run away from home and are in shelters or the foster care system. Detransitioner Ollie London testified before the Washington State Senate. He called the measure a move that will put already vulnerable teens at risk. London, who was born a male, underwent 32 surgeries in an attempt to look like a Korean woman. Last year, he converted to Christianity, stopped the surgeries, and told the world his story. And back with us tonight in our studio is social media influencer and detransitioner Ollie London. Ollie, great to have you with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's really great to be back in Washington and to be with you, Tracy.
We are so grateful. So let's talk about this bill in Washington State. You spoke out against it.
So I testified against Senate Bill SB 5599, which already adds to laws in Washington that make it easy for kids to transition. But this particular law was so shocking because it actually targets children in the foster system, children that have run away from home, homeless teens that, have been separated from their parents. The bill is trying to say that all of these kids are from abusive families, which is simply not the case. I've actually spoken with parents in Washington State that, have been trying to love their child, trying to help them, but they didn't want them to go on hormones and puberty blockers. And the state then takes these children away, says that they're in abusive households, puts them into the care system, and then has added a new clause to this bill, basically saying that the child can have access to gender-affirming care, even if they're 15, 14 years old, and they can be medically transitioned, and their parents will not even be informed.
It's unbelievable. And I know the advocates say, though, without this gender-affirming care, these children will have lifelong problems, mental health problems. What do you say to that?
Well, that's an argument trans activists and organisations always like to use. They always say this is helping, this is caring for the child, but really it's the total opposite. If we look at the word gender-affirming care, that word is there specifically to make it sound like a dream. It sounds easy, it sounds amazing, but actually that word care is very misleading because it's not care at all. This is putting children that are very vulnerable at risk. Many of these teens, some of them are 6 times more likely to be autistic, bipolar, have body dysmorphia, anorexia, other different conditions, and they are vulnerable, yet they're being misdiagnosed as gender dysphoric and put onto the gender-affirming care system. So it's incredibly harmful to do this to children that, many of them just need to navigate through their teenage years. They're just trying to find themselves, they're going through puberty. It's a difficult time for them and they're trying to fit into their schools.
Absolutely. And I know you've been really a huge advocate about all this, and now you're writing about it. Tell us about that.
Right. So I've actually just pre-launched. This is the first announcement in the world. I'm pre-launching my book, Detransition, a memoir. It's just come out on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles and Simon & Schuster. And basically, this is detailing my struggle with self-identity. But really, the book is exploring a much broader problem. So it's exploring the gender-affirming care system, the case of detransitioning, different state laws, how parental consent is being overridden, and how children are being influenced from things like Instagram, TikTok, media, TV shows they consume like RuPaul's Drag Race. So I'm really going to kind of break the boundaries of this and lift the lid on this gender ideology, which, there aren't books out there to support people that want to detransition. There aren't books there to support parents that may have a child that has gender dysphoria. So I really believe this book is going to help many teens navigate through their identity crisis and also give parents a guide to see what's really going on and how they can best help their child.
Yeah, and you not only talk about that journey, but your faith journey as well, and finding God and how that's helped you. Talk to us about that.
Right, so I had struggled for so long with my identity, and many people do struggle, and I spend probably 8 hours a day on social media, so I was definitely becoming susceptible to influences on there. I got to a point where I realized I'm still not happy, I'm missing something in my life, and I was really lost. I was like a lost sheep, like in the parable of the lost sheep in the Bible in Matthew and Luke. That sheep is separated from the flock. The shepherd has a flock of 100 sheep. One becomes separate. Instead of staying with the flock, instead of staying with the majority, he goes out there to rescue that sheep that has become lost in the wilderness, that's vulnerable, like many teens today are vulnerable to wolves, to doctors, gender clinics that are trying to medically transition them and separate them from the flock. I, like the lost sheep, and many teens was brought back into this flock by the shepherd, by God's guiding light, and that's really turned my life around.
Well, Ollie, thank you so much for speaking out for what you're doing.
Thank you, Tracy. It's a pleasure.
Can't wait to read the book, and God bless you.
I'm definitely going to send you a copy. Thank you.